All right, everyone. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started. It's a few minutes after 5. I think we've got a good number of participants. I just want to welcome you to our webinar this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you're at. My name is David Bledsoe. I'm the Senior Manager of Student Engagement and Communications at the American Indian College Fund. I just want to welcome you to this event. We're going to talk about the submission process for our Tribal College Blanket Design Competition. Now, this is our third year doing this contest. We're very excited about this partnership with Pendleton Woolen Mills. Specifically with this contest, they've been supporting us for a very long time. But really, this session is just to kind of go over the submission process with you. We have two special guests from Pendleton, Amanda Kappa and Kathy Moynihan, who will be kind of talking about the ways in which they work with students and how the submissions are judged and the process for that to give you more of an insight and help you be successful. We're also going to have kind of an interactive component to our presentation tonight. You can see a website at the top of your screen, menti.com, and you can type in that code and there'll be some questions that you can answer along the way. I'll also pull it up here on the big screen. You can actually scan if you want to use your mobile phone for this, you can just scan that QR code and it'll take you to the interactive portion of this. It'll actually show you all the slides that you'll see tonight, as well as any questions that are asked. You can respond to those. All you'll need is that code 80714722. And I'll put that in the chat once we get started. But just want to welcome you again, and we'll go ahead and get started. One other thing too. Tonight, we'll be giving away a few of these great Pendleton mugs. These are actually from our line of blankets that support all of our Native scholars. And so at the end of the session, I'll provide you a survey link. If you fill that survey out, you'll be entered to win one of these great mugs. I give these as gifts all the time. They're really beautiful. We have several different designs from different blankets that are in the line that we do with Pendleton. So I hope you're all ready. And my first question will be, of course, are you excited? Are you excited to learn about the contest and how you can be successful? So do you not care? Are you ready? Or are you just going bananas? Tell me, give me a little feedback here. So looks like most people are with Elmo there. They're going crazy. So I'm glad that you're here and you're excited. We will have a recording of this session put up on the main application page. So that page that was referenced on the front, which I'll also put in the chat, collegefund.org/Pendleton contest. That will have a recording of this entire session that you can refer back to when you're working on your submission. And of course, you can reach out to our staff at any time with questions that you may have. So let's just start with some basics about our contest. So the American Indian College Fund and Pendleton Woolen Mills basically put this contest together to challenge the tribal college students that we work with to express their culture and identity through this blanket contest. Only current tribal college students are eligible to apply. The College Fund works with 35 accredited tribal colleges and universities across the US, and you can find that information very easily on our website. You must be a current student of one of those institutions to apply. Each student can submit up to 2 original art designs for this contest, so you can submit up to 2 pieces. All of the blanket sales for blankets that are produced with our line benefit our scholarships for tribal college students, for Native tribal college students. And there's no textile design experience needed to submit. You can really submit any type of artwork that you'd like, any media form. I will say that a lot of our winners within the last couple of years have really relied on digital as far as putting their designs together, but there's no limits. You can submit sculpture, you could submit multimedia, mixed things, woven things, any of those. And you must enter by January 15th in order to be considered for the contest. So this should be an easy question, or maybe it's not an easy question, but how much has Pendleton donated for scholarships for Native students. So take a little poll. 500,000, a million, over 1.5 million. What do you guys think? And Pendleton has been working with the College Fund for over 20 years. So it's been a long time that we've been working with them to support Native students. So I got most of the answers at more than 1.5 million, which is correct. Our total donations are over 1.65 million in total. A big part of that is money that they have set aside for the future in funding, but they've also awarded or helped us award thousands of scholarships to Native students at tribal colleges. And these are just a few of the pictures of some of the blankets from our line, the American Indian College Fund line, that anytime that you purchase those, a percentage of that sale is going directly to support those scholarships. So it's a very important revenue source for them. And then with this contest, we're providing another way for Native students to be represented and to find opportunities through the contest. So I'm going to ask you another question. I did give you the answer to this before. So what is the submission deadline for the contest? Is it tomorrow, December 1st? Is it December 31st or January 15th? Well, it looks like it's pretty overwhelming. People are saying January 15th. That is correct. The contest opened actually on the 15th of this month. We provide that window of time for you to submit, ask questions, and of course have opportunities like this for you to learn more about exactly what the submission process is and how you can be successful. So that's an important part of what we're doing. But I want to get a little further into exactly what the actual process is. So this is just a screenshot of the competition page. Many of you have probably already seen either the digital promos or posters on your campuses. That is actually a picture of our first contest winner, Deshauna Anderson from Little Bighorn College, with her blanket that she designed, The Courage to Bloom, a very beautiful design. But that's what you'll see when you come to the page. And as you scroll down, there'll be additional information about prizes, all that information. But I wanted to kind of take you through exactly what we need from you, in addition to just your basic essential information. So, of course, you'll go to that page at collegefund.org/Pendleton contest. There will be, you can submit any type of art that you want. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a digital artwork. It could be a painting, it could be a drawing, it could be a digital design, crafts, sculpture, anything like that. All you have to do is attach a picture of your artwork. Like I said, you can submit up to 2 designs with that application in there. But really what we're looking for, the most important part, just very similar to our scholarship applications, is we want to know about your design, about what you did with the process of making that, what it means to you, if there's any personal significance to you or your community or the theme that you've chosen. We've had a number of people pick specific, societal issues within Indian country, that have really influenced them, and that kind of inspires them with their artwork. So we want that, as much of that information as possible. We want you to be verbose. We don't want a sentence or two. We want you to tell us as much as possible. So that can be, like I said, process and materials, can be the personal meaning and the theme that you've chosen. If there's any influences that have any specific artists, any influences in your culture that you want to bring out or describe, please tell those. And if there's a specific story to your design, if there's something behind that, don't just tell us, this is about the landscape in my community. Go into detail. Tell us about the landscape. Tell us about where you live, what that is. If it's about a person that inspired you in your community or in your family, tell us about that person. Whatever it is, we want as much of that information as possible. So I got another question for you, and this should be pretty easy. How much description should you use to tell us about your artwork. Should you just use a few words or a paragraph or maybe like a whole book? Maybe not a book, but we want a lot of information. So I think it's pretty obvious. We want to know as much as possible about what you're doing. And that also really is something that the judges use, and our great representatives from Pendleton will talk a little bit more about the judging process and exactly how that works. But that's something that's very important. I don't want to say it's more important than the artwork. Of course, that's the most important part, but that really supports the meaning behind it. And as they describe exactly how blankets are produced, how we share those stories on tags and other promotional items, how all of that is shared globally by Pendleton when those blankets that are benefiting Native students are actually shared everywhere. So it's a very important process. So I want to, we did announce Shalisa Owens, who is our contest winner for this year. She is a Fort Peck Community College student, and we actually have a video that we produced kind of announcing her design, which was called Unity. And I'm going to share a little video, very short, just a couple minutes, to kind of tell us a little bit about Shalisa, and she shares about her design and what was important to her. So let me share that right now. Just got to pull up my file here. Oh, here we go. I'm just going to share my screen and do it that way. So we'll take her video. I thought I had it there. There we go. All right.
I named it Unity, and I wanted it to represent
All right. Well, that was a little bit of Shalisa's specific story and experience, but now I want to turn it over to our two guests, Amanda and Kathy. Even though they both have Amanda on the screen, I'm a little confused on their Zoom. They are both our fantastic partners at Pendleton. They're going to talk about what it looks like from their side. And also, like I said, talk about judging and a few other things, what it looks like to translate a design. You saw the picture of Shalisa's original design and what the blanket looks like. That, by the way, that blanket's not available for sale yet. It will be available in the spring. But they're going to talk about that. And then we'll, if you have, by the way, if you have questions specifically, put those into the chat. I'll try to answer things along the way, but we'll also have a time at the end to answer questions too. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight and for supporting this great contest.
Of course. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Kappa, and I lead the home division over at Pendleton Woolen Mills. And together with Kathy, we're just so excited to be here and already kicking off our third year, which is definitely a highlight of development on my end with my team when we get to review all the submissions and read the stories. So just happy to be here. Kathy, you want to introduce?
Absolutely. I'm Kathy Monahan. I'm Director of Marketing and Communications. And this was an idea that I think Amanda and the College Fund folks came to us with, and it's been the best. I have to say, it's so inspiring to see the designs and actually see the designs and together with it, read the stories. And we'll talk more about the judging and all, but I have to say this has been a highlight since it started 3 years ago. And I'm so looking forward to us working with you again, but also seeing what comes out of this. It's inspiring to all of us, and we take it super seriously. And we really encourage you to bring your best to this. So I was going to start by talking a little bit about the Pendleton history. A lot of people know Pendleton, but they might not know, the sort of the backstory. And just as a company, we really believe in the strengths of stories. Stories bring a connection and a meaning to our products and our relationships, and they connect communities. And that belief is reflected in our vision statement, which is that we create quality products that embody craftsmanship, enrich lives, and connect generations. And one way that we connect generations is right from the beginning. It was a family-owned company. Pendleton's still family-owned and run. So the folks that started the mill back 1863, that family is still here in the building. They're the first people in, the last people out. And so that's unique. This isn't very common to have a sixth generation ownership. And we started back in 1863 with an English weaver, Thomas Kay, who came to Oregon as a young man. His daughter and her 3 sons opened the mill in Pendleton, Oregon in 1909. And that's where the name Pendleton comes from, is actually our mill in Pendleton, Oregon. At the time, this is crazy, but at the time there were 1,000 woolen mills in the United States. There was a mill in every town had a mill. And now, 100 and some odd years later, there's 4 left in the United States. Sometimes, that number fluctuates, but 2 of those mills are the Pendleton mills in Washougal, Washington, and in Pendleton, Oregon. So the mill in Pendleton housed the state-of-the-art machines for the time, jacquard looms, and those jacquard looms were capable of weaving incredibly complex patterns. So back in 1909, this was state-of-the-art. And in looking for customers, we looked around in our neighbors, so around Oregon, and we were able to produce really complex and beautiful weavings. And there were wool growers right in the neighborhood, and they continued to produce the wool for our blankets. We have relationships with wool growers around the mill that we've been buying with for 4 and 5 generations. It's the same growers, the same family of growers. And then we had our neighbors with the tribes of the region. So all of that came together to create an opportunity to create beautiful textiles. So, the blankets were part of the commodities that were sought after in trading posts, along with saddles and coffee, tobacco, flour, sugar, salt, all of that. They were traded for the handmade goods and furs that, were part of the trading post economy. So the trade goods, you know, the blankets included were meant to appeal to the Native American customer. It's like, what do you want? You know, how can we serve you best, and how can we give you something beautiful that will attract your eye? So that was, you know, the way that Pendleton competed for the share of was on quality and design. You know, rather than really low end blankets, we made thick, durable blankets that were really designed to be beautiful and durable and soft. So we still do this every season. Our teams preview the line with our largest customers and listen to feedback. And you know, we also get feedback every day on what sells. If our customers want purple, we put more purple in. You know, if they don't like a design that we love, it gets dropped. So the line continues to be basically shaped by the eye of our customer. And so that's the case with all of the communities that we work with, and all our men's, women's home line. You know, we make blankets for lots and lots of customers, and they have varied taste. Our mainstay is a solid color blanket, believe it or not, and plaid bed blankets. That's probably what we sell the most of. Utilitarian blankets that have kept people warm and comfortable. They're not fancy, but they're a great product. And, you know, we have lots of different customer communities, I would say. You know, when a lot of people know us for great geometric blankets, but other people know us for plaid women's wear skirts. And in Southern California, Pendleton means an ombre plaid and board shirts. And we've been making those shirts for almost 100 years. And we've been honored to dress the Latinx community in these shirts for generations. And generations of our customers have grown up with the park blankets and camp blankets and rustic plaids. And they have memories of the outdoors that connect them back to our first park blankets were made in 1916, so more than 100 years of making the park stripe blankets. And that actually predates the National Park Service, actually, by a few months. So for those customers, Pendleton means stripes and plaids. And our traditional women's wear customer favors solid color wool suiting. And we keep pushing forward with new fabrics for that. But what connects all these communities is really a respect for quality, great design, and a connection to past generations. There's a real nostalgia about a lot of Pendleton products. You know, and we were really founded by a craftsman, and our focus is continuing to make great product that meets our customers' need and matches their tastes. You know, we created the best for our customers, and we work to create great philanthropic partnerships as well. We already mentioned the College Fund that goes back more than 20 years now. We also partnered with veteran organizations to donate a portion. We're still, there we go. Yeah, the College Fund, obviously, but we partnered with veteran organizations to donate a portion of the sales from the Grateful Nation blanket to the Fisher House, and that helps families of hospitalized military personnel. We designed a special edition of the Chief Joseph blanket to support access for healthcare for Native American women at our local community. That's the Native American Rehabilitation Association of the Northwest. And that we've been going, Amanda, correct me, what, about 5 years, 6 years?
I want to say it's probably closer to 8, and we're just renewing for 2 more years and adding new colorways and additional styles to that partnership.
Right. It started as a blanket, and then our accessory team was excited and jumped on that too. So we're continuing to build that relationship with NARA, which is really important, obviously, with health in this times right now. The Preservation Series celebrates traditional weaving and supports Native American arts education through the Center for Southwest Studies. And then our partnership with the National Park Foundation has raised, and then we also have, jump in, talk about Dig Deep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just dropped this one in. This is a new one that's going to launch in January. It's a partnership we kicked off with Dig Deep, which brings water to those who don't have running water. Specifically, the Navajo Water Project is what our funds are being designated towards for the sales of this gather blanket. So we're really excited to kick that off. And I'll go into more design details on that beautiful blanket later.
And this is one of those examples, I think, that like it brings together a great message, a great opportunity to give to the community, but also a great design. It's like That is so beautiful in real life. It's beautiful in the picture, but is so beautiful. And so this is like a win-win-win all the way through, which is the kind of the best opportunity that we have at Pendleton, is to, make something this beautiful, basically share a great story, and then also do good work. So this is that beautiful, perfect storm of the design and the message and the meaning of it all going together. So next one, oh, there we go. So our National Park Foundation partnership, we've been working with them for a number of years, and we've raised more than $1 million for park restoration projects in Grand Canyon and Glacier National Park. We actually completed, I think, both of those projects now. So we've been working with the National Park Foundation and the National Park Service to identify new projects. And all of our partners that we work with, from Airstream to Nike and I can't remember the other ones right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also work with collaboration partners, and if they're going to use these designs, they have to also contribute to this fund. So it's been really fun to build this this fundraising engine to invest in our parks, because the National Park Service was founded on volunteerism, and that's part of that. Generation after generation, we've built. We've preserved wildlife areas. So let's see. And then also we have a partnership with the Smithsonian, specifically the National Museum of the American Indian, for funding the Veterans Memorial with this beautiful blanket. And then lastly, I think it's the last one, is our Blanket and More that funds the Wildland Firefighters Foundation. And when we started this a few years back, wildfires were more rare, and as part of the West, the West is kind of on fire all the time now, and so this is incredibly important and close to all of our hearts too. A beautiful blanket, highlighting the colors, the wilderness and all, but also it helps to fund injured firefighters from the Wildland Firefighter Association to fund their recovery. So that's just a little bit about Pendleton and our connection with our communities. Amanda's going to jump in and talk about the details on this amazing project.
Yeah, and really just kicking off and going into a little bit more detail of what David touched on earlier in the presentation, how to approach design for commercial products and what we're going to look for in the submissions. So I think we've really plugged this one, that we're looking for designs that tell a great story visually. So that needs to be appealing. The design, you can kind of create your own narrative when you look at it, or you can read the copy and learn a lot more about it. It just adds additional layers of meaning and different ways to enjoy the designs. So commercially viable subject matter and design, what we're looking for are positive message that customers will want to own for decades. So something that we can continue to keep in the line. As we were talking about designing our line, we get to add probably 30% of our line is new each season, but we're carrying over blankets, for 5 years, 10 years. Our Chief Joseph blanket's been in the line for 100 years. So as long as it continues to be relevant to the customer and have positive messages, we'll continue to carry the blanket in our line. So it also needs to have an accessible subject matter that customers can understand or keep for themselves and want to own it, or also gift it to friends or family. And then global appeal as well, just because we want the audience to be as large as possible. The more blankets we sell globally, then the more college fund scholarships we get to contribute. That takes us also, we're looking for designs that have versatile use. So Pendleton blankets you see in all kinds of settings, different interiors, often not only on the top of a bed, but over the back of a sofa, or even hanging throughout the house or home. They're also often used in robing ceremonies, of course, which is another great use. And then gifting appeal, as I mentioned. So something that you want to gift to others or keep for yourself. So I just want to touch on a little bit of the evolution of the design process and kind of where we start in the materials and then where we take it through the process to actually be a woven textile. As David also mentioned, any medium of art can be translated into a blanket or inspired. Anything from pottery, glass, beadwork. I know the first year of the contest, we did get a beautiful beadwork design, and it's incredible. And you'll see how the designs, no matter what medium of art, we're able to translate that. And we want to just have it be a great collaboration with artists, but also hold the integrity of the original piece. So here's just a few examples of kind of artwork that we've gotten submitted by various artists. And as you can see, just all different forms, whether it's pottery or beadwork or woven or painted. Also, these are the type of digital files, pretty self-explanatory, but we can take just about any high-res image that you upload. And I think that's all on the submission website. And really just want to reiterate that the process of design is a collaboration between Pendleton, my team, and our fabric design team and our mill with the artist, working very closely with them. It's just a well-balanced understanding and acceptance of the evolution of design. So things that may have to be tweaked a little bit, if a color might be a little too strong, we could ask the designer, hey, would you be open to kind of shifting or toning down the background of the blanket, just because we feel like this red is a little more saleable than this red. So being open to hearing that kind of feedback is always very helpful.
Also, I want to jump in here just a second in that, the last two winners were so collaborative in this, but, we talked back and forth before we started this. Do we want to give you lots and lots of limits? You can't have more than this number of colors, and the colors have to run this way and that. And we realized that was going to perhaps be more limiting than we wanted. And so, we're not putting all those limits that the looms actually have out there right now, but we have this understanding, and we're optimistic that once we show you what the looms can do, we can come together and make a great piece. So there will be limits on what can and can't be done, but we generally have always been able to get the essence of the project and the idea. And Amanda has amazing examples to show you.
Yeah, 100%. We don't want to limit any creativity because of, weaving and yarn parameters. So just keeping that open. So I have several examples of blankets that we've wove throughout the years, whether they're in line, whether they're part of the College Fund collection, or custom blankets or other blankets that we've done for special collections. So just to share, it's kind of a progression. So you'll see Felisa's blanket, the digital media file she submitted to us. The center is a CAD. So that's a digital file that our technical fabric team will translate as close as possible to the original. Again, some color modifications, color placement in order to make it weavable. And then once that design is ready, I share it with Jaleesa. There's some back and forth. Oh, maybe she wants solid color in a place where we have it open. Just again, a very collaborative process. And then once she gives the green light, we go ahead and sample. And generally, a sample blanket turns out 99% of what you expect from the CAD. Sometimes we'll make a couple of tweaks, but then that blanket actually was good to go as soon as we got it and we set it up for production. So we see that side of the blanket on the far right there. And also, yeah, just to share that these blankets, we'll get into some marketing too, but they have special labels that talk about that, extract an element from the blanket as well as the title that it's given. Here's Deshauna's blanket, again, a digital media file with vibrant colors throughout. We do have a limited yarn palette, so we are going to have to use our closest available colors. But again, with only being able to have, I think, 12 colors total in a blanket, it doesn't seem limiting at all. We can definitely execute a lot of color within our parameters. So the CAD file that we created, and then the woven blanket on the right. We're getting into some fun ones. Here's Bunky's blanket that we did a few years ago. Again, he submitted a digital media file, and there's our fabric interpretation, and then the woven blanket. So you can see the textile file and the woven blanket are very similar.
And also you get kind of a peek in the example on the far right of the blanket where it's turned. It is not the same on the front and the back. The looms create sometimes a very dramatic reverse on the back. Here's a great example.
That's a good example of it. I know.
When
It's
it
up my
doesn't,
sleeve.
if you have words in your design,
Correct.
the words will be backwards on the blanket on the back.
And we do that on occasion for special events and anniversaries. Customers will want words woven in. However, for our main blanket line, we tend to avoid them in order to keep the reversibility. So you can see Emma's sketch for the Gather, the Dig Deep blanket, very colorful, tons of inspiration throughout. So worked with this to extract a great story. Worked within our weaving parameters, a lot of back and forth on color placement and what we were able to execute, and got to a place that we both fell in love with it. It's a gorgeous blanket, and you can really see that striking face reverse. So that's something that we'll share with the artist once we get to that point, but we always start with a face, the front of the blanket, and get that dialed in. And then some of our blankets, depending on what collection, will have a coordinating ceramic mug that goes with it. Here is part of our legendary blanket series with artist Jim Yellowhawk. Again, that dramatic face reverse interpreted from an original painting. And Dale Chihuly. So this is from a glass sculpture, as you know, very famous glass sculpture out of the Seattle area. And we have been doing custom blankets of his designs for, I want to say, at least 10 years, maybe more. And we're actually on blanket number 23. So really challenging, but an awesome challenge for our technical designers to interpret these into something that can be woven. This is a special blanket that we did for the College Fund's 25th anniversary, which was, gosh, I want to say like 8 years ago now. Am I close to somewhere in there? Oh, so okay, 6 years ago, 6 or 7. So working with Diani and her original submission, again, this just is a great slide to show everyone that what our initial CAD submit, that first submit in the top left corner, maybe wasn't quite right for the artist, and she got that back, and it's like wanted to see some other options and gave us some feedback. And so I think this is just a portion of the CADs that we ended up doing, but we really want to get it right for all parties and want the artist to be happy with how their design is executed. And this just really shares the process of it, and it's a collaboration. And then in the bottom right corner, you'll see where we executed with blanket. And this is the Smithsonian blanket. Harvey Pratt was the artist, Warrior Circle of Honor. So his painting is on the left. And again, we just, it can get really creative on how to interpret the artist's work when we do have some weaving limitations, but just what we were able to execute and then having the artist be happy as well is the best outcome. So between Kathy and I, we can touch on this a little bit, but wanted to share some of the marketing that goes along with the blankets. In addition to the woven blanket piece itself, we have special custom trims that Kathy's team works on.
Yeah, so each of the products, we have a story to tell about the design, the origins, the material. So we have special hang tags that go on there. And we do that on a lot of things. Our shirts might have fabric stories that people want to know about, what the fabric is, how it's made, things like that. So we've kind of come up with these tags that stack together. With the College Fund, we have a couple of stories here. The blanket pattern story, along with the designer's name, and also the College Fund stories. So these get special labeling that connect them to the collection itself and a bit about the story. And we know that our customer really reads these because we get calls all the time of somebody who bought a blanket years ago and they've lost the tag, and they're asking for a copy of it because the story is important to them. There's that meaning. There's also their own meaning that they're going to add to it. It's like they love the color, or they love the way the shapes are, or they have a connection to maybe a picture in there. But then the artist's story as well will really enrich the experience of all of the people who buy these blankets. So it's really important. And we work with that. We have some constraints in storytelling. Big part of it is the word count, because
I was going to say 80 words or so.
it has to fit onto a tag and then be translated into French, so that we can sell it in Canada. But our artists work with our copywriter to get the message across, get it right, and work within those limits. The blanket will be featured in our print catalog and on our website, and with photos of the designer, and the blanket will be available to our wholesale accounts. And the other thing is that over the last few years, we also issue a press release announcing who the new winner is, and basically promoting the winner as well. So that's really an exciting opportunity for anyone in the arts. And so we want to create an extra layer of meaning and connection with the product. And we're thrilled to be able to work with the students at the tribal colleges to create work that goes back to support the colleges, and at the same time it supports the work of the artists and the students themselves.
Absolutely. So just really briefly, I kind of just wanted to share this slide so you get an idea of the timeline and development. As you can see, I didn't update my dates in time because I couldn't find the Excel spreadsheet with my computer update. However, this is kind of our seasonal development calendar that doesn't really change year to year. We're launching, that top portion is the development and production timeline. And a lot of these points are these tasks, these processes are coinciding with other things that are going on, like on the marketing side, or when we do have samples, the sales side, and when we launch these at trade shows and sales meetings. And that happens, after photography. So this just gives you a date. It's pretty much an 18-month cycle that is constantly moving and evolving as from the beginning to when we start shipping it. So as once we launch the project, or the kickoff the contest in November, and then by the time we get a design to start reviewing in January, we're hoping by late February, March to really have a final design that we can start sampling and get on the development calendar for our side of the process. So that just shares a lot of details, but a lot of work goes into this to get it to market. So yeah, Kathy and I are just going to touch on our judging criteria that we've used. This hasn't changed since we kicked off the contest 2-3 years ago. And this just gives you an idea of what the committee is looking for. Kathy, you want to go over these?
You bet. Basically, we have 5 criteria, and I have to say that we take this super seriously. We read every word, we look at every single design. It is blind judging. We don't have any names attached or anything else attached to that. Most of us don't know any of the designers, so and that wouldn't impact us. However, we want to make sure that people feel really secure that we are being as fair as we can be. So quality, are the figures or subjects well drawn? Is the entire area of the design considered? Are the elements and principles of design considered? All of those things we look at in terms of the way the image looks. And then also originality. Does the work look original, or does it look like somebody else's point of view? Does the artist bring their own point of view to the design? Is it a positive message? Is it uplifting and inspiring? And, we totally respect more difficult and challenging art, but it's generally not going to be successful to sell to a wide range of people. And we really, really want this to be in the line for as long as possible. So we want to make it accessible as possible, which is that global appeal and the accessibility of the subject. How many people can connect to the story or image? You're going to bring your own point of view to it, but what we'll look for is a wider range of appeal in that, for instance, Bunky Echo Hawk's story behind his design is so specific to him, but it's also like everybody understands struggle and your path being, the challenges of life directing you in different directions, and you think you're going here and you wind up going someplace else. So that aspect, his was a very specific story, but the design and the overall story was about overcoming, challenges of life. And how engaging is this story, and will people connect to it? So those are things that we're looking for. And as I said, we have a committee and we take it really seriously. It is an exciting and like I said, it's a big challenge for us in terms of all the time it takes, but we absolutely love it, and we take away so much inspiration during the judging process itself.
Yes, very great. I was actually just pulling up my contest binder from last year. I think we had 63 submissions, and so we print up all the submissions and all the stories next to them, so everybody that's on the committee is reading the story as they're looking at the design, and they can make the correlation between the two. It's a great process, and I'm really excited. But before I talk about how excited I am, I don't know if there's questions or if we want to follow up later with additional questions if you want to filter those, David. But hopefully we gave everyone a good overview kind of what we're looking for and the process along the way. And just, yes, thrilled to be here and excited for even more submissions for 2022.
I have one more thing to present. So that which may answer some questions. So I think someone asked how big the blankets are.
How big the blankets are? So this is our traditional robe size, and it's really close to a twin. It's 64 inches by 80 inches.
So the one thing I did not talk about was the prizes. Now we select actually 3 submissions for this contest with a grand prize and then a second and a third place, with the top prize receiving a $5,000 scholarship, $2,000 in cash, and then 6 of the blankets that are produced. The second place winner receives a $2,500 scholarship and $500 in cash. And the third place winner receives a $1,500 scholarship and $250 in cash. And I know that both Amanda and Kathy talked about the judging committees, but we really have some top name Native artists and designers that are part of the groups. Some of them are associated with big projects that you would know. Some of them may be a little more nuanced, but the people that are making the decisions and going over these items are really the top people in their field. So I do have, if you can continue to put any questions that you have in the chat, but you can also put it in Mentimeter if you want. If you put in a question, it'll pop up on one of the bubbles here for us. I think the same person asked whether the designs are going to be publicly available after production. Yes. So if your design is chosen as the grand prize winner, that we will work with Pendleton to translate that and produce the next blanket in the College Fund blanket line. So that will be available globally through Pendleton and will benefit Native students who are attending tribal colleges.
So yeah, the selected winner for this contest, the blankets would start selling to the public April 1st, 2023. Yeah. So we're ways out, but remember that 18-month cycle, but it'll be here before we know it.
Now our selection timeline is usually about March every year. So it's usually a year after that the blanket is actually available for sale. And like both Amanda and Kathy mentioned, and I mentioned, we do a lot of work to promote that, both in your local communities, but internationally. And it is an important source of revenue for those scholarships that we're providing. There was a question, only tribal college students can submit. At this time, yes, the contest is only for tribal college students, and those are those tribal colleges that we work with, the 35 accredited schools. And the main reason for that is because that is the focus of the College Fund in supporting tribal college students. Those are institutions that are so important because of their locations on and near reservations, the access they provide to students that are living on tribal lands. So at this time, it is only for those tribal college students. Are there any other questions? I'm looking kind of in the chat and back forth. I see another question here.
There's a couple there, David, I'm happy to jump in on.
Sure, go for it.
One was how much commission goes to the artist for every blanket sold with their design. Actually, the artist gets the prize money. So it's the scholarship, the cash prize, and then the blankets. After that, the contribution goes to the college fund for every blanket sold. So that's sort of the general thing. Can the Pendleton logo be placed elsewhere on the blanket? At this point, our default is always the same place, and it's sort of the tradition of that, but that's something that we could definitely discuss. It's a sewn-on label, and then the specific collection label goes next to it. So we just have a kind of a format we use, but that's a good question, and we would chat with the designer about that. For designs that touch on politically charged subjects, example, MMIW, are they still considered or encouraged to shy away from? Both of the last, the two winners actually addressed very tough, big questions, but they did it in a really uplifting way. So both blankets did, and we saw that a lot of, I would say at least half of them, half of the submissions did. That's what we're looking for, is what's important and what moves you, what inspires you. So absolutely do not shy away from things that are important. That's where you'll get your inspiration and passion. But we would need, because remember, it's something that people are going to bring home with them. And so it really needs to be done in a very nuanced way that is both clear and also uplifting, I would say.
A blanket they might be sleeping under at night, or hung on the wall that seen every day in their living room. And so it's positive and uplifting take on those subjects.
Yeah, and you know, the what might work perfectly in a gallery exhibit might not work and I hate to make it sound mundane, but home decor, honestly. So we want we need to have something in order to be able to raise money. We need to be able to sell it widely. But both of our artists that have won this student contest have addressed serious topics. And that's part of the meaning of the blanket and the symbolism for both of them. And last year we had so many entrants that talked about family and isolation because of the pandemic. And so the pandemic was top of mind for a lot of the the artists that submitted. And that was really, really important for us to see. And we realized that's what's on the mind of the students who are submitting. And so we actually expect to see those bigger topics addressed. Absolutely.
And anyone that wants to go on to the College Fund YouTube or onto our page, you can look a little bit more on Deshauna's design, which has an element of MMIP, and the way that she addressed it was really kind of talking about the resilience and how her community was kind of rising above the trauma that they specifically had experienced. So, and this is something I was going to bring up. Her blanket is the only one that's available for purchase, but it's sold out and it keeps selling out. So that kind of shows you it addresses a really tough topic, but in a way that's talking to her people in her community, that's about hope and about the direction that they want to head. She looked at the issue more of how education and other factors like that can bring her community to where she wants to be. So there's a lot of opportunities to address tough issues, but to do them in a way that's really going to be, appealing to a lot of people kind of going forward. There was one other question though about if they were a part-time tribal college student, can they still enter? Yes. You just have to be a current tribal college student at one of the schools. When you actually go into the application, by the way, there's just a drop-down list of all the schools. So as long as you're attending one of those schools, you're good to go. I think that may be it. We're kind of at an hour now. So if there's not anything else specifically, I do want to encourage you guys to fill out our survey and maybe win one of those great Pendleton mugs that has the American Indian College Fund line blankets in that. And I'll also real quick put that into the chat, the link for that. All you need to do is go to that link, fill it out, and we'll draw. I think we have a set of 4, so we'll draw for 4 mugs and send those out to you. But and let's see. I do not have a tribal affiliation. I am a college fund employee. I work with a lot of great Native professionals. I don't think that Kathy or Amanda, either of you have a tribal affiliation.
No, we don't. Mm-hmm.
But if you have any other questions about the contest, you can always follow up with myself, David Bledsoe, or just send a message through the College Fund website. There also, all that information is on the contest page itself too, that collegefund.org/Pendleton contest. And you can, if you have any problems, you come up against any issues, like I said, the deadline is January 15th. I would encourage you to try to get your design and all the work that you need to do to put that together, especially the written portions of that done as early as possible and not wait until the last minute. I would say we usually get almost half of our entries, usually the day of or a couple of days before. But deadlines are good and important. But if you can, that way, if you have any questions that come up, if there's any of those issues that you're facing, you're going, I'm really not sure about this, you can reach out to us when our staff is available, and we'll be able to get back with you within a good time frame. We have not extended our deadline at any time in the past, so I wouldn't anticipate, oh, I forgot to get mine in, I need another day. That may be, one day too late for you. So please take advantage of myself and the rest of the College Fund staff to kind of answer your questions while you have them, because we want to basically be a partner with you to help you be successful, in your submission process and what you're doing. So I think that's about it. Did you, Amanda or Kathy, did you have anything else?
No, I was just going to say thank you for taking the time to tune in to the webinar today and learn more about it. Just encourage your friends and everybody. We can't wait to see all those submissions. I think, like David said, feels like, oh, we have 13 submissions, a couple weeks from the deadline. And then he's like, we have 68 submissions the day of. So let's top that. I just encourage everyone.
Yeah. And I really thank everybody for taking this time, because I know everybody's busy, but also thanks for the questions. That was great. We really appreciate your interacting with that.
Totally.
Yeah. There was another question about, is the scholarship given per semester or for the whole year? I'll let David talk about that.
Yeah, that's a one-time annual scholarship per contest cycle. So we have an annual cycle for the contest, and that's an annual scholarship. But that is when the decision is made in March, that's when it is awarded. So it would be in the spring coming up is when it would be awarded to you through your tribal college. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Amanda and Kathy, for your time and for giving us some insights. Like I said, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time coming up. We want to help you to be successful in this process. And we look forward to seeing all your fantastic submissions. That's the hardest part too, is making a choice every year from all the great submissions that we receive. So have a great evening. And this recording will be available later this week. So take care.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.